6 years ago, a car accident stole my husband's future and turned my life into a high-priced wake. But tonight, the silence was broken by a scent that shouldn't exist. I am Amelia Miller. To the world, I am the Martyr CEO, the woman who stayed when any other billionaire would have walked away. The California sun is bleeding out across the horizon, painting the sky a bruised, expensive purple. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our Bel Air home, the world looks perfect. But inside this room, the air is heavy with the smell of a hospital. I set my Hermes bag on the velvet chase. I don't make a sound. After 6 years of living with a man who can't hear me, silence has become my second language. I look at Ewan. He's still the most handsome man I've ever seen. Thick, dark hair, a jawline that could cut glass. But he's a statue, a masterpiece kept behind a ventilator's hiss. Beside his bed sits Buster, my tan and white chihuahua. He's the only creature in this house I truly trust. While the world sees a pet, I see a radar. Right now, Buster's ears are twitching. His dark eyes are fixed at Ewan with a strange, low-intensity growl. I reach out, brushing a stray lock of hair from Ewan's forehead. It's a ritual, a way to remind myself that he's still here. I lean down to kiss his cheek. But as my nose brushes the skin of Ewan's neck, I freeze. My blood turns to ice. Beneath the sterile, sharp scent of medical-grade soap and rubbing alcohol, there's a ghost. Sandalwood, musk, and the faint, bitter trail of expensive cigar smoke. Ewan hasn't moved a muscle since 2020. He doesn't smoke. He shouldn't smell like a man who just stepped out of a private lounge. I stand up abruptly, my heels clicking sharply on the hardwood. I built a multi-million-dollar tech empire by spotting patterns others missed. I deal in data, not delusions. And the data is telling me that my paralyzed husband isn't alone. I thought I knew every inch of this house. But tonight, I realized I'm living with a stranger. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. I can't stop shaking. I'm standing in the center of our bedroom, the scent of sandalwood still stinging my nose like a straight-up insult. I look at Ewan. His chest rises and falls with the mechanical precision of a machine. He looks peaceful. He looks innocent. But in the corporate world, they call me the Iron Lady for a reason. I fired executives for smaller red flags than a mysterious scent. This isn't just a glitch in the system. This is my life. I try to talk myself out of it. Maybe it was the delivery guy. No, they don't have the guts to come upstairs. Maybe a doctor? Madeline Wilkinson usually smells like vanilla and that sharp, annoying antiseptic. I need to move. I need to do something normal before I lose my mind. I grab the laundry basket from the corner of the room. Usually, I let Holly Doyle handle the linens, but tonight, I need a distraction. I carry the basket down to the ultra-modern laundry room on the first floor. The house is dead silent, the kind of silence that feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for me to trip up. Holly has been with us since the accident. She's family, or whatever, but in a house full of secrets, even family is a stranger. I start sorting the clothes. Medical pads, soft cotton shirts, those loose-fitting shorts with the elastic waistbands. Then my hand hits something different, something smooth, expensive, cold. I pull it from the bottom of the basket and the air straight up leaves my lungs. It's a pair of men's designer briefs, dark red silk, Calvin Klein collection. These aren't the bulky, practical, patient clothes a paralyzed man wears. These are built for a body that moves, a body that wants to be seen. My hands start to tremble as I hold them up to the light. The truth hits me like a physical blow to the gut. They've been worn, and they aren't clean. There's a stain, the kind messy stain a man leaves behind after intimacy. I feel a wave of nausea wash over me. I sink onto the cold tile floor, clutching that silk fabric so hard my knuckles turn white. My husband is a vegetable. He's been trapped in that bed for 6 years. He relies on machines to breathe and me to survive. So how the hell did these get into his laundry? Is there another man creeping into my house while I'm at the office? Is Holly hiding a lover in my husband's room? Or is the nightmare even worse than that? I look at the red silk in my hand, a crimson flag of betrayal in a house I thought was a sanctuary. Buster trots into the laundry room, sniffs the silk, and lets out a low, vibrating growl. Even he knows. The Martyr CEO just found her first piece of evidence, and God help whoever left it behind. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. I can't look at the laundry basket anymore. It feels radioactive. I hide the red silk briefs in the back of my closet, tucked beneath a stack of winter sweaters I never touch. My hands are still shaking, but my brain is finally doing what it does best, calculating. In business, if you suspect embezzlement, you don't confront the accountant. You watch the accounts. You wait for the trail to lead you to the thief. I spend the night staring at the ceiling, listening to the rhythmic whoosh of Ewan's ventilator from across the hall. It sounds like a clock ticking down to a bomb. The next morning, I don't go to the office. I tell my assistant I have a migraine. Instead, I drive to a high-end surveillance shop on the other side of the city, a place where private investigators and jealous spouses go to get the real dirt. I buy a micro camera, top of the line, 4K resolution, night vision. It's a $2,000 piece of plastic that's about to tell me if my life is a tragedy or a straight-up horror movie. I wait until the house is empty. Holly Doyle is at the market. Madeline Wilkinson hasn't arrived yet. I walk into Ewan's room. He's there, staring at nothing with those unseeing blue eyes. I'm sorry, Ewan, I whisper in my head, but someone is using your room and your body to hide a monster. I install the camera. It's perfect. For 3 days, it's boring as hell. I sit in my office at the tech firm, staring at a small window on my laptop screen. I watch Holly dust. I watch Madeline check his chest. Normal. Routine. Painful. I start to wonder if I'm actually losing my mind. But then comes the 4th night. It's 2:15 a.m. I'm wide awake in my own bed, my phone propped up on the pillow. The feed is dark, illuminated only by the green glow of the heart monitor. Suddenly, the screen flickers, a digital glitch, static lines racing across the image. Then, the screen goes black. Connection lost. I check my Wi-Fi, it's fine. I switch to 5G, still nothing. The blackout lasts for exactly 60 minutes. At 3:15 a.m., the feed snaps back to life. Everything looks the same. Ewan is under the covers, the room is still. But when I pinch the screen to zoom in, my blood turns to ice. Before the blackout, Ewan's left hand was resting flat on his stomach, fingers straight and lifeless. Now, his hand is hanging off the side of the bed, his fingers are curled into a loose fist, and there's a slight sweat on his forehead that wasn't there an hour ago. A paralyzed man doesn't just toss and turn. Someone is using a signal jammer in my house. Someone is turning off my eyes so they can play in the dark. I stare at the screen at the man I've loved more than my own life, and I realize I'm not looking at a patient. I'm looking at a crime scene. I'm sitting in my home office, the blue light of my phone washing over my face. It's 4 a.m. Outside, the crickets are the only thing making a sound, but inside my head, it's a total riot. In my world, a glitch is never just an accident, it's a signature. Someone didn't want me to see what happened between 2:15 and 3:15, but they were sloppy. I scrubbed the footage back to the exact second the signal returned. I zoom in on Ewan's hand. It's not just in a different position, it's tense. His knuckles aren't pale and thin like a man with muscle atrophy should have. They look strong. I grab my laptop and pull up Ewan's medical records. For 6 years, Madeline Wilkinson has been filing weekly reports: severe muscle wasting, zero reflex response, permanent quadriplegia. I compare the medical photos from 6 months ago to the 4K still frame from my hidden camera. His arms, they aren't shrinking. If anything, they're more defined than they were last year. You don't get muscle definition from lying in a bed. You get it from lifting, from moving, from living. I feel a cold sweat break out across my neck. If Ewan is moving, it means the accident 6 years ago was either a miracle or a straight-up masterpiece of acting. The door to my office cracks open. I jump, nearly dropping my phone. It's Holly Doyle, holding a tray with a glass of water and my daily vitamins. "You're up early, Mrs. Miller," she says. Her voice is soft and maternal. She tries to peek at my screen, but I flip it over just in time. "Is the stress getting to you again?" "Just a big merger," I lie. My voice is surprisingly steady. "I need to be sharp." "You should rest," she says, lingering a second too long near the door. "Dr. Wilkinson will be here at noon. She says his heart rate has been a bit elevated lately. Must be the weather." Elevated heart rate, scent of sandalwood, signal jammers. I watch Holly walk away and realize I've trusted this woman with my home for half a decade. I've trusted Madeline with my husband's life. Now, every smile feels like a sneer. I log in to the cloud storage of the camera app. I scroll through weeks of data. Every night at the exact same time, there's a 1-hour gap. It's a scheduled performance, and I'm the only one in the audience who doesn't have a script. I realize I can't just watch from the sidelines anymore. I need to force their hand. I pick up my phone and call my assistant, making sure to speak loud enough for anyone in the hallway to hear. "Cancel my meetings for the rest of the week," I say. My eyes are fixed on Ewan's unmoving face on the monitor. "I'm flying to Chicago tonight. There's an emergency at the plant. I'll be gone for at least 3 days." I hang up. My heart is racing. The trap is set. Now I just have to see who walks into it. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. I can feel their eyes on me. I move through the house like I'm in a trance, packing a small suitcase in my room. I make sure to leave it open on the bed, an unmissable signal. In a negotiation, the person who speaks first loses. Right now, I am speaking with my luggage. I'm telling everyone in this house that the warden is leaving. I walk into Ewan's room for my goodbye. Madeline Wilkinson is already there, her blonde hair pulled back in a clinical bun. She's checking the ventilator, but her movements are too fluid, too casual. "Going somewhere, Amelia?" Madeline asks. She doesn't look up, but I see her hands pause for a fraction of a second. "Emergency in Chicago," I say, leaning over the bed to kiss Ewan's forehead. He's cold, static, a perfect prop. "Take care of him, Madeline." The stillness is breaking me. "Don't worry about Ewan," she says, finally meeting my eyes. Her gaze is sharp, calculating. "Holly and I have everything under control. You look exhausted, Amelia. The fresh air will do you good." Fresh air? She wants me gone so badly, she's practically pushing me out the door. I walk out the door, get into my Tesla, and drive. I make sure the GPS shows me heading toward the airport, but 2 miles away, I pull into a crowded parking lot. I park in a blind spot, grab a dark hoodie, and call a different car under a fake name. I'm not going to Chicago. I'm going into the shadows.
By 10 p.m., I'm back in my own neighborhood, creeping through the dense line of trees that borders our property. Buster is usually with me, but I had to leave him inside. He's my eyes on the ground. I wait. 1 hour, 2. My legs are cramping, and the damp cold is seeping into my bones. Then, at exactly midnight, a black sedan pulls up to the rear service gate. No headlights, just a silent shadow gliding over the pavement. It's Madeline. But she's not in her lab coat. She's wearing a trench coat over something lacy and red, the exact same color as the briefs I found in the laundry. I check my phone, 12:05 a.m. The camera feed in Ewan's room is still live. He's just lying there. But then I hear it, a faint, muffled woof woof from inside the house. Buster. The screen flickers, static, connection lost. The signal jammer just flipped. The show is about to start, and this time I'm not watching it on a screen. I'm coming for the front row seat.
The rain is a cold needle against my skin. I'm crouched in the mud, my $4,000 Burberry trench completely ruined. I don't care. I watch Madeline Wilkinson disappear into the side door. She didn't knock. She used a key. My key. I check my phone. The Nest Cam feed is dead. Static. They'd just flipped the signal jammer. I kick off my heels and creep across the wet lawn barefoot. I climb the iron trellis. My palms bleed. My breath hitches. I reach the second-floor ledge and press my face against the glass. The blackout curtains aren't fully closed. There's a tiny 1-inch gap. I expect to see a patient and his doctor. Instead, I see a ghost. Ewan isn't lying down. He's sitting on the edge of the bed, pouring a glass of 30-year-old Macallan from a crystal decanter. He's wearing a silk robe. His muscles aren't wasted. They're toned. He looks like a man who just finished a session at a high-end gym, not 6 years of paralysis. Suddenly, I see a flash of movement. It's Buster. My brave little chihuahua is standing his ground, his tiny body shaking as he lets out a low, continuous snarl at the man who is supposed to be his master. "Shut that dog up, Ewan," Madeline says. She walks up behind him and drops her coat. Underneath, she's wearing red lace. She wraps her arms around his neck and kisses the spot where the ventilator tube used to be. "How much longer, Ewan?" she whispers. I can hear her through the glass. I'm tired of playing the beautiful nurse. I'm tired of the antiseptic smell. Ewan laughs. It's a deep, rich sound I haven't heard in half a decade. "Relax, Madeline," Ewan says. His voice is cold and steady. The martyr thinks she's safe in Chicago. By the time she lands, the Hampton shoreline funds will be cleared. We're almost home. My heart doesn't just break, it shatters into 1,000 jagged pieces of glass. 6 years of my life. $15 million. Every tear I cried by his bedside was a punchline to a joke I wasn't in on. He wants to play dead? Fine. I'm about to make his wish come true. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments.
I'm hanging off the balcony of our Greenwich estate, my fingers raw from the trellis thorns. Inside, Ewan, my paralyzed husband, is standing. He's pouring a second glass of expensive scotch. 6 years of medical bills, 6 years of sponge baths, and here he is doing a victory lap in a silk robe. Madeline moves her hand over her stomach. It's a small, deliberate gesture. She's glowing, and it's not from the lamp. "The baby is kicking, Ewan," she purrs. "He wants his father to stop playing dead." Ewan laughs, a sound that makes my skin crawl. "Just a few more signatures, Madeline. Amelia is a workhorse. She'll keep grinding until the Hampton Shoreline project closes. Once that land deal hits the offshore account, Ewan dies for real. A tragic relapse. We disappear to the Caymans, and she's left with the funeral bill. I want to scream. I want to smash the glass. But then they move. They don't go to the door. They don't go to the bathroom. They walk toward the massive built-in mahogany wardrobe, the one I bought him for our 3rd anniversary. A massive mechanical click echoes through the glass. The entire back wall of the closet slides open, silent and motorized. Beyond the closet isn't a wall, it's a hallway. I remember the townhouse next door. It's been under renovation for years. I thought it was a construction nightmare. It wasn't a renovation, it was a bridge. The two of them disappear into the passage, and the wardrobe slides shut, leaving the bedroom perfectly still. The ventilator continues its fake hiss thump, breathing for a man who isn't even in the bed. Suddenly, I feel a cold nose against my hand. Buster has squeezed through the pet door. He doesn't bark, he just looks at me, as if he's saying, "See, I told you." I drop from the balcony, landing hard on the wet grass. I don't feel the pain in my ankles, I only feel the fire in my chest. They didn't just break my heart, they built a kingdom out of my wreckage. I'm done crying. I don't go back to the hotel. I drive straight to my office in Manhattan. The skyscraper is a needle of glass against the midnight skyline, empty and cold. In my world, anger is a luxury I can't afford. Precision is my only weapon. In my world, anger is a luxury I can't afford. Precision is my only weapon.
I'm sitting at my mahogany desk in the middle of the night, the only light coming from my triple monitor setup. The skyscraper is a needle of glass against the midnight skyline, empty and cold. In my world, anger is a luxury I can't afford. Precision is my only weapon. I pull up the company's internal ledger. For 6 years, I've been signing checks with a broken heart and a blind eye. I trusted Dr. Wilkinson, with the Brain Trauma Recovery Fund. I start digging. My eyes burn as I trace the wire transfers. $50,000 for experimental neurotherapy, $100,000 for robotic limb stimulants. I cross-reference the tax IDs. My stomach drops. The medical labs in Switzerland and Germany, they don't exist. They're shell companies registered to a P.O. box in Delaware. The owner? Madeline Wilkinson. Over $15 million. My sweat, my late nights, my parents' legacy, all laundered through a fake charity to buy that townhouse next door and fill it with Italian marble. I lean back, the leather chair creaking in the silence. They didn't just steal my money, they stole my grief. They watched me cry over a body that was probably laughing the moment I left the room. Suddenly, my phone buzzes. It's a notification from my bank, an urgent transfer request from Ewan's mother, Martha. I take a deep breath, forcing my voice to be the grieving wife one last time. I hit answer. "Emilia," Martha's voice is sharp, demanding. "Madeline says the new blood filtration system from Zurich just arrived. It's $200,000. We need the wire sent by morning or they'll ship it back." The audacity. The whole family is in on the script. They aren't mourning a son. They're managing an ATM. Beside me, Buster lets out a soft, sharp bark, as if he can hear the venom in her voice. "Of course, Martha," I say. My voice is a whisker of fake exhaustion. "I'll authorize the Hampton Shoreline funds as soon as I'm off the plane." I hit hang up. I don't cry. I open a new encrypted folder on my desktop and label it The Extermination. They want $200,000? I'll give them a front row seat to the end of their world. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. I don't call the police. Not yet. In the high-stakes world of New York real estate and tech, the police are slow. I need someone who moves like a ghost. I call Dexter Booth. He's an ex-Fed who handles discrete problems for the Fortune 500. He doesn't ask questions, he just sends an invoice and an encrypted file. 4 hours later, my email pings. I'm sitting in a dimly lit corner of a 24-hour diner, staring at a laptop screen that's about to dismantle my entire past. Buster is tucked into my lap, his ears swiveling at every opening door. Dexter's report is a masterpiece of misery. I scroll through the photos. Dexter went through their trash at 4 a.m. There, among takeout containers from the most expensive sushi spot in Manhattan, are the receipts. Boxes of prenatal vitamins, high-end cigars, and a used pregnancy test. Positive. But it's the medical history that makes me want to scream. Dexter found that Madeline and Ewan didn't meet at the hospital after the accident. They were college sweethearts at Yale. They had a history long before I ever walked into the picture. The accident 6 years ago was a stage play, a perfectly timed exit from his failing startup and an entry into my multi-million-dollar bank account. He didn't just cheat on me, he recruited me to be his benefactor while he lived a double life 10 feet from my bed. The music shifts to a low, distorted bass, heavy with suspense. I stare at a photo of Ewan, the real Ewan, walking through the hidden garden of the townhouse, a glass of wine in his hand and a smirk on his face. He looks healthy, he looks happy, he looks like a man who thinks he's already won. I've spent 6 years mourning a man who was busy spending my money on another woman's child. A sharp digital ping of a text message. My phone buzzes again. It's Dr. Madeline. Emilia, Ewan's vitals are spiking. I think he misses you. Please tell me the transfer for the Zurich equipment is cleared. I look at the text and then at the evidence on my screen. I feel a cold, sharp smile spread across my face. Oh, it's cleared, Madeline. But it's not for a blood filter, it's for your funeral, professionally speaking. I'm sitting in my Manhattan penthouse office at 5 a.m. The city below is waking up, but I haven't slept in 48 hours. My eyes are bloodshot, but my mind is a steel trap. In America, you don't just get even, you take everything until they can't afford the air they breathe. I open my laptop and log into the Thorne Medical Trust. I see the pending transfer for the $200,000 Zurich blood filter. With 3 clicks, I don't just cancel the transfer, I freeze the entire account. That account pays for the townhouse next door. It pays for the nurses, who are actually just Madeline's cousins. It pays for the imported cigars and the designer silk boxers. I watch the screen, waiting. Buster is sitting on the corner of my desk, his ears swiveling. He's been my only honest companion through this 6-year lie. Then my phone vibrates. It's Martha, my mother-in-law. For 6 years, this woman has played the part of the grieving, broken mother, using every ounce of grandmotherly guilt to keep my checkbook open. She's the one who called me cold when I stayed late at the office. She's the one who insisted on the best private care. Now I know why. She wasn't managing a recovery, she was managing an inheritance. Then, a vibration and the crackle of a voicemail speaker. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice comes through the speaker, sharp and panicked. Amelia, what is going on? The pharmacy just declined the insurance card. Do you want your son-in-law to die? You need to fix this glitch immediately, or I'm coming over there. The acting is top tier, honestly. She's a co-conspirator, a manager of the heist, acting like an ATM technician who just realized the machine is out of cash.
Beside me, Buster lets out a sharp, singular bark, as if he's telling Martha to shut up. I make the second move. I call Joshua Powell, my lead counsel. He's the most expensive shark on the East Coast. Joshua, I say, my voice cold as an IV drip, I need an emergency ex parte order. Fraud, embezzlement, and racketeering. I want a freeze on every asset connected to Madeline Wilkinson, Aria Holdings, and especially Martha. And I want a private security team at my Greenwich estate by noon, the ones who don't talk. Understood, Amelia? What about the husband? The husband? I look at the photo of Ewan drinking scotch in the Barden. He's been dead to me for 6 years. I'm just making it official. I pick up my phone and send one single text back to Madeline and CC Martha. I'm coming home. I've decided to stop the treatments. It's time to let Ewan go. I want to see the looks on their faces when the Martyr CEO finally stops paying for their lifestyle. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments.
I pull into the driveway of the Greenwich estate at exactly noon. My black SUV is followed by 2 unmarked Suburbans. Joshua Powell was right. Private security doesn't make a sound. They just take up space, like a physical threat, black suits and stone-cold faces against the manicured lawn. I walk through the front door, and the air in the foyer is electric. The house is dead silent, but I can feel them upstairs, waiting for the check, waiting for the victim. Buster is tucked under my arm, his little heart racing against my ribs. He knows. He's been waiting for this day since he first smelled that sandalwood. I go straight upstairs. When I push open the master suite doors, Madeline Wilkinson is standing by the bed. She's not wearing her lab coat anymore. She's in a silk wrap dress, her hand resting protectively over her stomach. "Amelia, thank God," she says, rushing toward me. "The power went out, the backup generator failed, and the pharmacy won't release the meds. Ewan is fading. We have to move him now." From the corner, Martha steps out. Her face is a mask of fake tragedy. "Amelia, do something. Your husband is dying while you stand there like a statue. Call the bank. Tell them it's an emergency." I don't move. I don't blink. I just look at Ewan. He's lying there, his eyes closed, his chest rising and falling with that fake mechanical rhythm of the ventilator. "Let him fade," I say. My voice is as flat as a dial tone. Madeline freezes. "What did you say?" "I'm letting him go," I say, walking toward the bed. I reach out and put my hand on the ventilator switch. 6 years is long enough, don't you think? The money is gone, Madeline. The trust is empty. There's no more reason to keep up the act. "Amelia, stop!" Madeline screams, lunging for my arm. "You're killing him. This is murder." "Is it?" I turn to her, throwing the folder onto the bed. The photos spill out. The cigars, the scotch, the red silk briefs. Buster lets out a sharp, piercing dog bark, jumping out of my arms and landing on the bed, snapping at the paralyzed man's feet. Because according to my private investigator, Ewan hasn't needed this machine since 2021. So unless this ventilator is for your baby, Madeline, I think we're done here. The color drains from Madeline's face. Martha gasps. From the bed, I hear a sharp, sudden intake of breath. Ewan's eyes snap open. He doesn't look like a patient anymore. He looks like a cornered animal. He reaches up, rips the medical tape off his face, and pulls the tube out of his throat with a violent, disgusting jerk. "Enough," Ewan shouts. His voice is raspy, but terrifyingly strong.
He sits up, swinging his legs off the bed. His atrophied muscles ripple under his skin. He stands up, looming over me, a 6-foot-tall lie in a hospital gown. "You think you're so smart, Amelia?" he sneers. "You're just a cold, workaholic bitch who wouldn't know love if it hit her. I gave you 6 years of my life. I stayed in this cage for you." "From me?" I laugh. It's the coldest sound I've ever made. "You didn't stay for me, Ewan. You stayed for the 15 million you laundered. You stayed for the Italian marble in the townhouse next door. You didn't stay for me, Ewan. You stayed for the ATM. I look him dead in the eye, and the machine just ate your card. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments.
Ewan, my paralyzed husband, stands tall in his hospital gown. The thin fabric looks like a cheap, pathetic costume on his athletic frame. He isn't the fragile statue I've spent 6 years protecting. He is a predator who just got caught with his hand in the vault. His muscles don't look atrophied, they ripple with definition. My stomach turns as I realize he probably spent his recovery time lifting weights in the townhouse next door, while I was upstairs crying over his lifeless body. He moves toward me, his hand raised as if to grab me. "You think you're so smart, Amelia?" he shouts. His voice is raspy from the years of faking a ventilator hiss, but strong enough to shake the room. "You're just a cold, workaholic bitch who wouldn't know love if it hit her. I gave you 6 years of my life. I stayed in this cage for you." "For me?" I laugh. It's the coldest, most jagged sound I've ever made. "You stayed for the $15 million you laundered. You stayed for the Italian marble and the 30-year-old scotch in the house next door. You didn't stay for me, Ewan. You stayed for the ATM. I look him dead in the eye, and the machine just ate your card. Ewan flinches, his eyes darting toward the mahogany wardrobe, the secret bridge to his other life. He thinks he can run. But Buster is already there. My tiny chihuahua is a blur of tan and white, standing his ground in front of the closet doors. He's showing his teeth. He's been waiting for this moment of truth longer than I have. "Get that rat out of the way," Ewan yells, stepping forward. "Don't touch him, Ewan." My voice drops to a dangerous whisper. Joshua is downstairs with the FBI and a forensic accountant. The accident was a fraud, the medical bills were a scam, and that townhouse? I just bought the mortgage from the holding company this morning. You're not just going to jail, you're homeless. Every cent you thought you stole is officially mine again. The silence that follows is deafening. Ewan stands there, frozen, his chest heaving, trapped between a woman he underestimated and a dog who never believed his lies. The Martyr CEO is gone. The architect is here. The silence in the room is broken not by Ewan, but by a sharp, keening wail from the corner. Martha finally cracks. For 6 years, this woman has been the high priestess of my guilt. She was the one who sat at my kitchen table, dabbing her eyes with silk handkerchiefs, telling me how brave I was, while she handpicked the most expensive specialists for her son. She doesn't rush to Ewan to comfort him. She doesn't even look at her son, the man who just rose from the dead. Instead, she lunges for me. She grabs my silk sleeve, her expensive French manicured nails digging into my skin with a desperate claw-like grip. "Emily, honey, please, you have to listen to me," she cries. Her voice is a pitchy, frantic mess of fake sobs. "Ewan was confused. He was traumatized by the accident. He didn't know what he was doing." I look down at her hand on my arm. It's the same hand that accepted emergency checks for Swiss blood filters that never existed.
Confused, Martha? For 2,190 days? That's a very long time to be confused while drinking 30-year-old Macallan. It was Madeline, Martha shouts, pointing a shaking finger. That girl, she's a siren. She manipulated my boy. You know Ewan loves you. He's always loved you. I pull my arm away from her with a slow, deliberate force that sends her stumbling back toward the bed. The wire transfers weren't just to Madeline's shell companies, Martha. I spent the last 12 hours with a forensic team. I found the consulting fees paid to a private account in the Caymans. 15% of every medical bill I paid, every cent of my parents' legacy, went straight into your retirement fund. The grieving mother mask shatters instantly. Her face transforms from a mask of tragedy into a cold, hard stone of resentment. Buster lets out a sharp, piercing bark, standing between Martha and the exit. He's not letting her slip away. He's guarding the perimeter like a tiny, four-legged sentinel. You were never a mother to me, Martha. You were just a manager of a heist, and the board of directors just fired you. Downstairs, the heavy oak front doors swing open. I hear the rhythmic, heavy tread of boots on the marble stairs. The FBI is here. I look at Martha's face as the reality finally sinks in. She isn't worried about her son's health anymore. She's worried about the federal orange jumpsuit that's waiting for her.
Madeline is white-knuckling the mahogany bedrail, her knuckles as white as the hospital sheets she used to pretend to change. She isn't the cool clinical professional I've known for years. She's a cornered fox. Her eyes dart toward the wardrobe, the secret passage to their sanctuary. But she knows my team has already turned that bridge into a wall. She moves her hand over her stomach, a small, deliberate gesture meant to trigger my mercy. It's the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. She's glowing, and for a second, I feel a flicker of that old, empathetic Amelia, the woman who would have done anything to protect a new life. "The baby," she whispers. Her voice is trembling. "Please, Amelia, think of the child. You're a woman. You know what it means to want a family. Don't take everything." The sharp, rhythmic clack-clack of high heels on hardwood, like a countdown. I walk toward her. The baby deserves better than a father who fakes a coma for a paycheck and a mother who treats a patient like a bank account, Madeline. You didn't think of the child when you were charging me $10,000 a week for experimental therapy that consisted of you two drinking wine in the next room? The heavy thud of a leather folder being pulled from my bag. I reach into my bag and pull out a thick, leather-bound folder. It's the formal complaint I've already filed with the medical board. "I've already contacted the authorities," I say. My voice drops to a dangerous low frequency. "The money in the Aria Holdings account, that's evidence now. Every cent is frozen. And your medical license, it's being revoked as we speak. You'll never step foot in a hospital again, unless it's in a jumpsuit." Madeline's face crumples. The baby card didn't work. She looks at Ian, waiting for him to defend her, but he's too busy staring at the federal agents now filling the doorway. He's not a hero. He's a coward who just lost his shield. A soft, dismissive dog huff, short and sharp. Suddenly, Buster trots over. He doesn't growl this time. He just sniffs her expensive designer shoes and lets out a sharp, dismissive huff, like he's smelling a piece of trash on the sidewalk. Downstairs, I hear the heavy front doors swing open. The nurses, who I now know are just Madeline's cousins on the payroll, are being let out in zip ties. The charade is officially over. The lights are on, the music has stopped, and the only thing left is the wreckage of a 6-year lie. "Security," I say, nodding toward the door. "Get them out of my house. All of them." Music, a final, dark orchestral swell that cuts to absolute silence. I stand on the cantilevered balcony, my hands wrapped around a cup of black coffee that's finally hot. The steam rises into the crisp morning air. Below me, the flashing blue and red lights reflect off the glass facade like a glitch in a high-end simulation. I watch as they lead Ewan out first. He's no longer the miracle patient. In the harsh light of day, he just looks like a con artist in a cheap tracksuit. He tries to look up at me, perhaps hoping for one last spark of mercy. I don't give him the satisfaction. I just take a slow, deliberate sip of my coffee. Behind him comes Madeline, her head bowed. She's crying for real now, not for a child, but for the loss of the designer lifestyle she tried to build on my grief. And finally, Martha. Even in zip ties, she's screaming about disrespect and family loyalty, until an officer firmly guides her into the back seat. The sirens fade into the distance, leaving the neighborhood in a silence that actually feels peaceful for once. Joshua Powell gives me a sharp, professional nod from the driveway. The freeze is total. The townhouse is being gutted for evidence. The Miller legacy isn't a tragic story of a widow anymore. It's a case study in hostile takeovers. I set the coffee cup down. For 6 years, I've been the woman who stayed. I've been the woman who sacrificed. People think I lost a husband and a future, but they're wrong. I didn't lose anything that was ever real. I turn back toward the house, walking through the glass doors into a space that is finally, truly mine. I have the data, I have the assets, and I have the only partner I ever really needed sitting at my heels. I am Amelia Miller. The martyr is dead. Long live the architect.